Alright, first of all, everybody with a cell phone and an iPod, please turn them on and hold them up in the air.
Oh, mine's in my locker.
Got it. Go on. Exactly. Alright, good. It's a good class for this as it turns out. Keep them up, I'm not done with you. Want to air out the pits here. Alright. So you've all got your cell phones and your iPods. I see very few people who don't have them out. If you do, I bet you have them in your locker, you have them in school. You use them every day. So, like I said, most of you use them every day, right? Keep them up in the air if you use them every day. If you don't use them every day, put them down. How many of you use them in the class when you're not supposed to? How many of you use them in the class when you are supposed to? How many of you actually use them in the class because the teachers told you to, other than Mr. Gross or Mr. Vino? Put them down if you have. Look at the few people we have left. Alright, you can put your arms down now. Bringing me to my speech today, which is going to be technology in the classroom. If you look at our society today, we have a lot of technology, we have a lot of cool little gizmos out there that can do a lot for us, and yet we don't use them because the way the system is set up right now, we don't have them. Read an interesting article online that says that each generation eventually becomes basically obsolete because they can't keep up with the technology. One of the interesting things in this article was that people of our generation are going to become obsolete much faster than the generations before us and behind us because society and school has not yet started using these devices, and it will happen. And because we haven't been taught how to use them in the way that most people after us will have, we have a shorter shelf life, I guess is the way to put it. So today I'm going to talk about this problem and give you some of my opinions on the way it should end up. Alright, how it is. Basically, we are taught in our schools the bare minimum. If you think back to your BST class, by the time you got to BST, everybody here has used Microsoft Word, we've all used Microsoft PowerPoint, we've used them a lot, and we've used them frequently. When we get to BST, they teach us a couple little things maybe we didn't know, but for the most part, it's probably the easiest class most of you have ever had. And this is a real big problem. I mean, they're not teaching us very many new things. And by the time we get to high school, it's too little too late. You need them starting basically in elementary school now. And you've already figured things out on your own because you kind of have to, because you have to use these things, you're expected to use them, but you're not really taught the ins and outs. And if you look, especially in our school, and this is a trend that probably happens in a lot of places, a lot of schools about this size, is that your class availability for this kind of thing, your tech classes, are very limited. If you look at here, if you want to get beyond using Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, basically, you have to go to VOTEC, which takes, 2 hours out of your day, and can be difficult with the scheduling we have to do to get in all of our other recs. And this, in my opinion, this is a really big problem. Alright, what's out there? Okay, we just saw people with their cell phones and their iPods up in the air, alright? We all have these tools, we've all used these tools, and we know that we have these tools to use. But we don't utilize them because we're not allowed to in instances, and we don't really know how. We've never really had the opportunity to be told, okay, you can use this like this in the classroom. There are possibilities out there that people know that may not occur to you, and that if things like this were taught to us, we'd all have that knowledge, and it would advance, our learning in a lot of ways. So if you think about your cell phone, all right, most of them have internet abilities. You can use them as your organizers. You could text back and forth in classroom with your, your fellow classmates to, kind of confer on projects and whatnot. But this isn't allowed because of the obvious cheating problems. But, still, it's a powerful tool and it shouldn't be, banned outright. Your laptops and your iPods and iPads, especially with the, the iPods and the iPads that are out right now, they're basically a tiny little computer. We've taken something that, used to fill whole rooms. We put it in the palm of your hand. You can get on the internet, you can socially network yourselves, but again, how often do you use this for class? You use it outside of school for your classwork, but how many times do you use it in the classroom? It's going to happen eventually. People are going to start using these things, and our generation is kind of getting the short end of the stick because we're not taught how to use them. And the people who are taught are going to be much more familiar with it and be much better at it, and they're going to have an advantage over us when they hit the workplace. How many of you really know the differences between a PC and a Mac? Know the ins and outs of both operating systems? Not very many of you. There's a couple of you. Even I will say that I'm pretty much